Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 61 of the Heat Press for Profit podcast. Thank you for joining us live on this episode where we're really going to be turning the heat up in the world of apparel decoration. We're here to inspire and ignite creativity and, talk about transforming garments into works of art. And I really can't think of a better guest to have on with us today to discuss exactly that. I'm Jenna Sackett, and I have here with me Carlo from Culture Studio. He is the Chief Revenue Officer of one of the coolest companies I've had the opportunity to get to work with. And Carlo, why don't you take a moment to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Well, happy to be here with everybody. Thanks for inviting me on the show, Jenna. Honored and happy to be here on a Friday, of course. So what can go wrong?
Yeah,
right?
I appreciate you taking time out of your Friday.
No, I mean, this is the best way to start it off. I was thinking about it all night. I'm like, I got to come with it. I got to come with it for Jenna. We got to have a good show. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. So what do you want? Want to hear like how we started Culture, like the little background on it, or you tell me?
Tell us a little bit about you. How did you get involved with Culture Studio?
Okay, that's a loaded question, but I can kind of like sum it up pretty quickly. But I'm one of 4 founders of Culture Studio, so it's myself, Rich, Joey, and Nick Santo. And it's funny, we were out at dinner last night, and one of our clients was like, "I thought you were Carlo Santo for a long time. My last name's Oviedo," because we announced each other as 4 brothers, and we are, So myself and Rich have been best friends since after high school. It was like love at first sight, me and him. We just became best friends really quickly. And we all started this company, just us 4, back in 2008. So I've been doing it for 16 years. And, we started off as a clothing brand on the clothing brand side, Shy Clothing, which is actually still the company name today, Shy Clothing, DBA Culture Studio. So everyone's check still says Shy Clothing on it. So it's still the original company that we started 16 years ago. And yeah, so it was us 4, and really just like a classic screen printing story. We all tried every single role that you could possibly think of. Believe it or not, I started off in the screen room making screens. I lasted like probably 24 hours in the screen room till Joey kicked me out and said, "Dude, go answer the phone and make a call or something."
This isn't for you, Carlo.
yeah, this is a screen printing thing. Literally, I was a screen printer for 24 hours. So after
That's
that,
crazy. What did you think of it?
I mean, it's hard. It really is hard. It's an art form. And Joey, our brother Joey, he's always been kind of excited about that kind of the culture and the whole meaning behind screen printing. He's really good at that thing. So he kind of took that under his wings and kind of ran with that side of the business. So no, it's very hard. It's a skill set for sure.
There's a lot of steps to it. I remember having to first learn screen printing my first year in the industry 12 years ago. And I was just kind of overwhelmed by all of the processes. But if you can get it down, I mean, and you guys have it down, you guys are creating a lot of really great stuff with your screen print equipment.
Yeah, we've figured it out along the way. But when we first started, I remember when I was like doing the screens and cleaning screens, it was in this like dungeon of a basement. And I'm 6 foot tall, and I think the ceilings were like 5'8". So I had to go down there, all hunched down. And I swear it was in a Little Italy in Chicago, and a little 800 square foot space that we had. I swear that little basement was haunted. Every time I was cleaning a screen, I can something was behind me, So it's such a creepy little basement that we had where we cleaned the screens, and a little whiteboard.
And that's where you guys first got started.
Yeah, that was our first shop. Yeah, it was literally like 900 square feet, very small.
And you guys just expanded your space into a second location, right? So you originally started in Chicago, and now you're in Daytona.
Yes. So just 2 years ago,
Okay.
Yeah, we opened up our Daytona facility from scratch. I think we broke a record on how fast we turned a shell of a warehouse into an actual screen printing facility. It was crazy fast, and we were prepared with bringing in all the electricity and everything that we needed to do to turn it into a shop. Happened pretty quick. So yeah, our second facility we opened up just about 2 years ago, Daytona Beach, Florida. on the same street as the Daytona Speedway, literally like a quarter of a
Oh,
mile
that's
away.
exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can literally hear the cars racing and practicing out there.
That's
And
really
then,
awesome.
yeah, and then like in about 3 weeks, we're taking over the other side of our building in Chicago. So we're expanding again. We're going from 50,000
Wow.
square feet to 100,000 square feet in 3 weeks in our Chicago facility.
That's incredible. That's very exciting. From when I first met you guys, there wasn't a Daytona location yet. It was in the works, like the talk was happening. And now you're expanding your Chicago location. That's incredible. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited. I feel like we could talk on like a totally separate podcast all about the nuances of
for
being
sure.
able to expand and learn about, best practices when it comes to that. Because I know we have a lot of listeners that are in that, hoping to get to that stage. So I think we have another podcast topic on our hands. So we'll have to get that on schedule. So thank you for, taking the time again today, guys. Again, we are live. So whenever a question or comment pops up, feel free to chat that in. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. So wherever you guys are joining us from, feel free to comment those questions. We'll be taking them throughout the conversation today. So if you guys had a chance to, read a little bit about what we're going to be discussing today, we are going to be taking a step behind the curtain of the music industry. And there is a lot that goes into the music industry, but we're going to be talking about the world of merchandising. And Culture Studio, you guys have been an incredible influence in this space. You have an amazing print shop, just expanded, and you guys really fuel the visual identity of our favorite brands and artists, which I just think is an incredible message. Can you tell us a little bit about how you guys really got into the music space?
Yeah. Thank you for saying all those nice things. We don't feel like we're making any waves by any means. We're just, putting our head down and just getting to work every single day. But it is good to reflect and take a step back and just kind of take it all in on kind of what we're doing and what we're building. But every day feels like day one for us. So it is good to just take a step back and reflect. But yeah, I mean, how we got into the music industry, I'll be honest, you see these gray hairs right here? Like it's real. Like
Let's
it
zoom
is.
in. Let's
Yeah,
see.
zoom in. Yeah, zoom in. They're there, and they're fastly approaching and more coming. But it is. I guess it's a classic story with how we got into the music space. Ever since we started our company, we kind of knew that we wanted to be in the music industry. We kind of have a music background ourselves in like a nightlife, night club type of industry behind the scenes, and we always wanted to be into the music industry. And I was knocking on the doors for a long time. Probably 13 years ago. And a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is happenstance. Like the worlds need to align in so many different ways. And kind of got a call from a client once and said, you've been hounding me for 3 years straight and I haven't responded to you. And I literally did for 3 years straight, once a month. Hey, remember me? We're the guys from Culture Studio. We have 8 employees right now. We're growing. And I follow up again 2 years later. Hey, it's us. We're still here, guys from Culture Studio. We have 20 people now and 2 automatic presses. We're hungry. We want any opportunity you can give us. And they finally did. They finally did. And they said, we're going to try you out with a small band called Black Sabbath. That was our first tour.
Small band.
Small band called Black Sabbath. And I remember going to my partners, Rich, Joey, and Nick, and we had a little small conference room. And I was like, guys, I think I done did it. Like I got a big fish on the line here. And we had the conversation of like, I don't know if we should bite off that much. It might be a little too much, a little too quick. And, they're a little more reasonable. These guys, they're kind of, okay, we could take a step back. I'm more like this, it's now or never. The opportunity is here.
Right.
Like, when will we ever get this call again? And by anyone's imagination, it was probably way too much for us to take on. We only had 2 automatics at that point, but in true Culture Studio fashion, we said, screw it, man. Let's just do it. And we didn't have a loading dock in Wicker Park or the West Loop of Chicago. So I remember 2 semi trucks come in. We had to hand unload those semi trucks by hand because we didn't have a loading dock. And we just printed 4 or 5 days straight, made it happen.
Was it just you guys still at this point?
Yeah, I think we had 20 employees at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And anyway, long story short, we made that order happen. They called us and said, time for you guys to grow. And that was our first taste of the music industry. We broke our lease. We were at 9,000 square feet at that point. We broke our lease within 30 days, found a space. And that's the Culture Studio that we're in today, the 50,000 square feet space in the back of the yards in Chicago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so funny how things can just explode in an instant. And I actually remember reading something the other day. It was like, things can happen overnight, but sometimes it takes a year or two just to get to that night. And I think that is like such an important thing to remember, is a lot of people see the success story, but they don't really know what went in to get to that point. And I think that you just really summed that up in such a great way, especially for this industry where it is very fast paced and there are so many different opportunities with different markets and different niches. And you guys just said, hey, we want to focus on this. This is what we want to be doing. And you just kept going after it. It happened, right? But it takes a minute to get to that overnight situation.
True. Yeah. Definitely wasn't a rocket ship. It's more like a puddle plane that's trying to take off and it comes back down, hits the water and tries to go back up. So yeah, I think you got to be a little bit of crazy, to enter into this industry. It's so many challenges for sure that come with it. So it isn't all, bright lights and glamour for sure. It is very hard, but yeah, for us, it's the niche that we picked. Well, I don't know if it picked us or we picked it, and we just kind of stay focused, right? Like that's the only thing we really know. So I guess you could say a big portion of our business is music and entertainment.
Awesome. Yeah. So speaking of, I feel like merchandise when it comes to like concerts and festivals, or maybe even just those limited edition pieces that you guys work on with artists, they've really become more of like a cultural phenomenon. Like people are buying not just because they went to the concert and they want their tour tee, but because it's become more blended with fashion and fandom and wearable works of art, right? So when it comes to really crafting these pieces, can you dive a little bit into that? Like how gritty are you guys getting with the artists, or do you just have like dedicated graphic artists that are just sending ideas and whatever they bite?
Yeah, it's a mixture of all of that. There are times when the artist and the client come to us with the whole product line sheet ready to go, and they did all that work beforehand, which is nice because then we just figure out an execution plan and try to make things happen. But there are times when we're involved in the product pitches and the development of the artists. And you're right. I think a lot of fashion is connected to a lot of these artists now. And it's not just that cheap $10 t-shirt, which there's a market for that too, right? Like there are some artists that
there definitely still is.
Yeah, there's definitely a market for that. And I guess it depends on your demographic and kind of the demographic of the artist, but there are ones that actually like to look at it like a clothing brand. And I don't know if spending is up or down. Who knows? Depends on what day you listen to the news, right? It's like, I don't know how the economy is doing, but I do know that people, if they're going to spend money, they want to spend it on a piece that is actually valuable and that they're going to wear, that's going to stand the test of time. And so everything from the garment to choosing the right silhouette to then, working on the artwork, and the artwork gets harder and harder. For us, I don't know if it's just because a lot of our machines are 18 colors or 16 color, but we get all the hard stuff. If it's a 14 color facial, type of print, full color, it's like, okay, let's send that to Culture Studio. It's really difficult. They'll figure it out. I have to remind them to, hit me with the 1 or 2 color every now and then, because those are nice too.
Yeah, seriously. I've seen some of the stuff that you guys work on, and I'm just like, this is so out of left field. I'm going to try to help as much as I can, but it is really crazy. I mean, I've seen you guys go from like a basic direct to film transfer all the way to mixed media with embroidery and rhinestones and screen print on that. Like it's just, there's a lot, but there's a lot to be said about accepting those jobs, because those are typically, if you get into like, those contract decorators are like, absolutely not. Like, we're not going to allot time for this. This is too crazy, especially at this amount of pieces. So hands to you guys, because there's a lot of jobs I've seen where I'm like, you are the only company I know that's accepting stuff like this.
Yeah, it is. There are some pieces of art there. There are some projects that are so difficult, and you're right. That's why I don't know if the music industry or what we do is better or worse, because sometimes being a contract printer or printing for the ASI industry or corporate, it's like, they know what garment they want to do. It's a white Gildan or whatever. It's a Bella Canvas 3001, left chest, 3 color. Like, that's nice. That's no headache. You can just knock that out. So I don't know. I think you got to pick your poison a little bit.
Absolutely. And so because you guys are able to achieve all these, unique opportunities, even though they can be pretty difficult, let's talk a little bit about some of the print processes that you guys are using. So we know that you're doing screen printing. That's a large portion. What other print processes are you guys benefiting from that are allowing you to do these off the wall fashion pieces?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything special or different than anyone else might be able to do as well. But I think ever since we started to grow, after 2 or 3 automatics, everything's been oversized for us. All of our presses are jumbo, oversized. They're all customized to do really big prints, high color count as well. That kind of differentiates us as well. But we have all the bells, all the toys you can think of. We have the digital squeegee, and we have all the heat presses, and we just modified our striker machine actually to do all over printing, which is, typically thought of to be more like overseas, like kind of project-based garage style printing, where you get that huge screen and kind of just figure out how to do a background image. But we just modified one of our presses to do up to, I think, 4 or 6 colors all over, up to 30 inches wide. That's been a really cool thing that we've been offering. A lot of discharge, water-based type things, all the specialty inks that you can think of. So a little bit of everything.
Nice. And so with this industry, it's hard to stay relevant. Shouldn't say hard, because it's achievable, but it's a challenge, right? Yeah. It's so fast paced, and there's always the next big thing. So what are you guys doing to stay up with like current trends in design and production to make sure that you're staying relevant?
Good question. I typically just follow you and Stalls and whatever you guys are doing. No, seriously, you guys crush it. I mean, I've talked to you offline many times. I'm like, your guys is just marketing and always evolving. You always have some good content, whether it's a show that you're doing or just education. So I think you got to do exactly what you guys are doing, just staying relevant, being out there. Like, you can never have too much content, right? You got to be pushing something out. But I think for us being in the music industry, we get a little bit of insight into trends and fashion and kind of stay up with the trends that way. But we're just kind of, we don't do everything perfect. That's for sure. So we're learning from others still as well.
Yeah. And so I actually, one of the trends that I noticed you guys implementing a little bit more are patches, whether that be like PVC, chenille. How is that stuff being reviewed, or like what are the reactions you're getting from some of your big clients with those?
Yeah, I think since those are a little easier to get now, if you will, like that, those are all products that in the past were harder to procure. You had to go overseas, you had to wait a really long time to procure those type of things. And now when we add that in a product line, everything is so fast, right? We have under 2 weeks or a week sometimes to do things. And if we can add those type of specialty features into a product line, it's just something different that clients aren't seeing all the time. So
Mhm.
we're seeing, if it's embroidery or on hats or on, type of a hoodie or something, we're definitely seeing more of an ask to do things that are different and special. So yeah, we definitely see an uptick in those type of products.
Yeah, for those listening and our current viewers, I highly encourage you to go to the Culture Studio Instagram. They have a lot of really great inspiration there on new stuff that they're implementing, and it's working really well for them. And definitely building out a lot more opportunity, just kind of as you guys are building up that arsenal of all the different techniques and finishes that you guys offer. So definitely recommend checking that out. Now, the reason this is important, guys, is, we want to make sure that we're not only building brand identity for our print shops and our personal brands, right? But we want to make sure that we're building that identity for the customers that we're working for. So it's great for the music industry because they need to be able to have that connection with their fans, right? And they're able to easily do that through merchandising. But this speaks to really any market that you guys are targeting. It could be for promo, it could be for your local restaurants and pubs, or maybe local teams and leagues. So, really utilizing all that you guys have to offer. There's so many resources out there, right? You have direct to film transfers. If you guys don't want to be able to or have to bring that all in house, all you need is a heat press to really get started. So I know we're talking with Carlo at this large scale and all the things that are working well for him. These things are still achievable for you as well. So keep that stuff in mind as we're talking about this, because we want to be able to continue to contribute to the customers that we're working with for brand identity and to get whoever is buying that product to engage with them. These are really great ways to stay relevant and do that. So speaking of engagement and contributing to clients' brand identity, I know you guys have had success with printing on site and doing activations. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those activations you've done? And that may or may not have been like involved with the music industry. I think it could have been outside of that too. But yeah, if you could speak to that and shed some light for our listeners, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think live activations is just a great way to bring the experience to the fans and make it more of a physical on-site experience. So actually we've done a couple with you guys and I think those have been the biggest hits for us. And it's just like, it's a collaboration between two brands. We get to kind of riff off each other and it's just it's
Yeah.
fun. And, with like trade shows and live events being back full throttle now, it's like, how can we make an experience, especially at these specific type of trade shows, that someone can remember, right? And like have a little fun doing it. So we want to do more of them. Honestly, it's something that we've done. We've done a few and it's hard to travel sometimes with all this equipment. You guys probably know better than us, but like, how do you do it? And how do you do it nationwide and not just locally? But every time we've done it, it's always been a really great response. And actually, like, you can gain business from it. I think one of the ones that we did together, I've gotten calls before just saying, hey, we saw the activation that you did with Stalls, or we saw the activation that you did with someone else. And that was their first sight into our business. So it led to other opportunities. So it can act as a sales opportunity as well. Not just the event itself, but it could lead to opportunities outside of that. So definitely something we want to do more of, probably the coolest one we ever did. This was like, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, but we did a Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam was at Wrigley Field. And I guess Eddie Vedder writes out his set list the night before every single show. He writes it out. And so what happened was he wrote it on a piece of paper. He wrote the set list. They brought the piece of paper to Culture Studio. We burned a screen and we printed the set list on the back of shirts. And the line was like 2 miles long in Wrigley Field. And that's like
Crazy.
an example of a really awesome activation. That's taking it to the extreme, of course, with the set list like that. But that's how you can make one of these experiences something really special.
Yeah, I think that there are a few things that you said that, and I'm sorry, it just caught me off guard. I was reading some of the comments from our viewers. But thank you guys for commenting. We're happy that you guys joined us. This is definitely a really great topic. But yes, I think that collaboration is a really big thing. That's one thing that you said. Being able to lean on your partners to really make things happen and bring it to life. That's the best way to really get out there beyond just your local community. I think it is important to be involved in your local community because you can just gain business easily that way. But being able to collaborate with other businesses, some partners that you have in the industry, that's a great way to do it. And then you said another thing, it was the experience, right? So the experience is everything. And you and I have gotten to witness that firsthand. The first one we did was in Atlanta,
Yep.
Printing United. Yeah. And we did the record shop, and it was something unique and different for stalls because we have our like main trade show booth. And that is like that's where we're having our business meetings. That's where we're talking business. Like it's very serious over there. But we had this little breakout and we were just listening to music and people were checking out the records that we had. And you guys did an amazing job with like all the art and helping us select blanks from lane 7. And it just all came together so well. And it just sparked conversation from people that you wouldn't have gotten from a normal trade show booth type of conversation. So it really is about the experience because sometimes you just need to break out of that traditional business mindset and do something fun, get people conversing with you in a different way.
100%. Yeah. Collabing, and it's special because you don't have to do it on your own, right? You can go into it together. And yeah, that one at Printing United or the Atlanta one, like anytime you can get a line of people ready to buy, or not even just to get merch, it's like, all right, there's something good. There's something special happening here. So I know you guys kind of sold out of those goods like so fast. You had to re-up like a few hours later. So
yeah,
that was cool.
Luckily lane 7 was there. We were like, hey, we need more.
Yeah. Like, and
so
Melissa,
they just like overnighted, so it was great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. He said he loved the collab in Atlanta at Printing United last year. Looking to have some more fun at Printing United this year. And that's going to be in Vegas for anybody attending. We're going to be partnering up with Culture Studio once again to bring another unique type of activation. I'm not here to give any spoilers, but I'm just going to say you definitely want to be there to check it out.
Nice.
And as we are coming to a close, I don't want to take up your whole Friday afternoon, but I do. I would love for you to share just some key factors that other print shops who might be deciding to get into the merch side of things should consider. So what would you say to some aspiring custom apparel businesses trying to break into this side of the industry?
Run the other way. No, it's and like a lot of people that get into this industry, they come from a music background, right? Like every time you hear someone's screen printing story, they're like, hey, I was in a band and I was making my band t-shirts. And so there's music is everywhere in this industry. I don't know. I think you have to, I talk to my team all the time about the rule book, right? Like you need process, you need rules, but you also need to break these rules every now and then. And when it comes to the music industry, you have to be flexible. You have to be almost like this partnership approach where, yes, you need process and you need to run a business. This is commerce after all. There's also creativity. And when you take that partnership approach, you just have to be flexible and willing to do some crazy things every now and then. And if you come to the table with a little bit too much kind of business and like that process related things, you might miss out on opportunities. So you just have to be willing to be flexible. That's like the biggest advice I could give. Also, just have to have
great advice.
Yeah, thanks.
Like, it's simple, but it's like, I mean, it's not really simple, but like if you had to say one thing, like, yeah, it's be flexible, work with your customers on this stuff so that you can be the person they come back to for the next job.
100%. Yeah, it's all about the experience. So, yeah, that's my advice.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I apparently have somebody working. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but
Yeah,
someone is like
some,
banging something right up above me. So
you got some
I'm going to
construction
route it.
happening there. Yeah.
But I just want to extend a big thank you to Carlo for sharing his insights, experience, passion. It's been a really great episode. So thank you so much. I hope you've all gained a deeper understanding of merchandising in the music industry. If you guys didn't get to comment or get your questions in, feel free to chat those in now. We'll be sure to revisit and get those questions answered. Thank you all for attending, and see you next time.
Thank you.